The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Redmond, Oregon, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 39307. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, 2 tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail, 6,000 pounds, direct pull, not intended for towing. You'll also find dual air horns and your mechanical siren located in the front bumper notch. As we move up onto the bumper extension, a D-handle gains you access into the officer side hose storage location. There are also 2 tow hooks located here, protruding through the front top section of the extension, 6,000 pounds direct pull, not intended for towing. As we move over to the driver's side, you'll find storage location, Velcro tie downs, and also a swivel discharge on the driver's side. As we move to the cab face, you'll find your marker turn indicator light on the outer edge, along with your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside of the cluster. As we move down to the front grille, you'll find an emergency warning lights, and then moving just over the top of the headlight structure, also forward-facing emergency warning lights. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge of the cab area, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror on the A-pillar. As we move to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Further up onto the roof, you'll find forward-facing and slightly angled scene lights, 2 on the outer edge and 1 direct center. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within the light bar is your opticom. Quick view here of the side of the apparatus. We'll start now with the cab section, first starting with the front axle, where you'll find your Goodyear tire Alcoa wheel and a visual sight gauge into the center of the axle. As we move to the bumper extension on the side, you'll find a lower zone emergency warning light. Easily accessible with gloved hands, these are your door lock and latch combination. They are keyed. Right next to that, you'll find grab handles for gaining entry and exit for maintaining 3 points of contact. You'll also find a push-button digital pad located on the side. This is for gaining access to your door latch and lock. You'll also find in the lower or the upper section side-facing emergency warning lights, along with your LED water tank level indicator, and in the lower section an emergency warning light. As we move to the body section in the rub rail, you'll find emergency warning lights. Directly over the rear axle, you'll find an emergency warning light. And as we move to the hatch compartments in the front and rear, you'll find emergency warning lights. You'll also find 2 side-facing scene lights in the hatch area. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start first at the very bottom with the hitch receiver and license plate holder. As we move to the outer edge of the body at the rear, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse light. Moving up to the D handles is where your ladder storage is located. Emergency warning lights, part of the lower and also upper emergency warning lights. Rear-facing scene lights located on the passenger and driver side. As we move toward the center, you'll find a backup camera, which is recessed. You'll also find direct tank fill located in the center, and then on the outer edge you'll find discharges. As we move to the right, you'll find a ladder which you can access the top of the vehicle. As we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, this is the location for your exhaust. Same configuration and layout as you have with the emergency warning lights on this side. As we move to the cab, same configuration for emergency warning lights also on this section. As we move to the front bumper, just some additional photos here of the bumper extension. Let's go ahead and take a look in the hood area, the front section. Just behind the Pierce logo is the release for your hood. As we look into the hood area, you'll find a reserve coolant tank. This should be empty and is for overflow. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find instructions for operating the cab tilt, along with a remote push button, which is tethered. Just to the rear of that, difficult to see in the image, is also a remote door unlock switch for your electric door locks, and then also your activation for raise or lower, which is in a protected switch cover. And then to the right, you'll find your power steering sight gauge and dipstick. As we move to the left side, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Moving now into the driver's space of the cab, let's start first with the door panel, where you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information. Moving just up from that location, you'll find the door lock and latch mechanism, and then also electric window controls and a grab handle. Let's move into the stepwell area. Take a brief look into this space. Let's start first in the step area, where you'll find an air inlet, and then also your shoreline inlet, which is a 30 amp. Moving now to the base of the seat, when plugged into shoreline power, the auto charge status center will activate, indicating battery status. You'll also find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, vehicle VIN number, also all of your fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and then also the fluid type. This is located just inside the cab on the engine cowling. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. About the left knee of the operator, you'll find this panel located here, which is your engine ABS diagnostic ports, tech module port, and display port. You'll also find some switches in the lower section for ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's move to the dash cluster, where you'll find on the left-hand side your start ignition switch and four-way flasher hazard lights. Also switches labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and a panel switch. To the right, you'll find the OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. As we move to the dash cluster, you'll find your transmission, oil, depth level, and water temp on the left. On the right, you'll find fuel, volts, front air, and rear air. Located directly in the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer and tachometer. There's also the digital readout directly in the center lower section. Looking to the right, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. These are the rear spring brakes. Also, you'll find your command zone, touchscreen, and function button. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more information. Allison push button transmission selector, and also an informational note to pump in neutral. As we move to the right, you'll find your engine brake on and off switch, setting switch for low, medium, and high off-road traction, and some additional switching in the upper section for tire chains and load manager. Moving just to the right, you'll find a digital readout for pump pressure, water tank level indicator, stationary OK to pump and roll indicator, water pump activation, foam system activation, indicator for high temp hydraulic PTO, low PSI, warning indicator. To the top, you'll find your mirror controls. In the lower section, you'll also find once again the pump pressure and water tank level indicator. In the center, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving now to the upper section overhead, do not move your apparatus if this light is flashing. It's indicating you may have a compartment or door open. General view here between the driver and officer seat for glove storage and additional resources. As we move to the upper side, this is just directly over the driver's head. You'll find the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 2 inches. Length of the vehicle, 33 feet 1 inch. Gross vehicle weight rating, 49,800 pounds. And the 5-digit job number, 39307-01. Moving to the right, some additional switches here for Emergency Master, roof light, front warning, and side warning. In the lower section, you'll find your lower rear warning, Opticom switch, Dominator light bar, and siren brake. To the right, you'll find your driver's side cab scene, front flood, passenger side cab scene, perimeter lighting, driver side body scene, rear scene, and passenger side body scene. Let's move now to the exterior where you'll find that push button entrance code. And then as we move to the front axle, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge into that center axle. Moving now into the rear passenger or cab area. We'll start first with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move inside, you'll find two rear-facing seats which do house SCBAs. Moving now into the compartment space, as we move to the outer edge, you'll find a compartment with roll-up door, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. Moving now to this center section, same thing, roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, ventilation. In this compartment we have shoreline outlet and then also USB outlets. As we move to the officer side, we have additional roll-up compartment door, shelving, ventilation, and LED lighting. As we look now behind the driver's seat and officer seat, you'll find access via USB, correction via bus bar, and then also D-handle gains you access into the center space. This is behind the driver and officer seat. Glove storage, lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. You'll also find your breaker box for S1, which stands for Shoreline Power. Your breakers are clearly identified, located here in the switch label in the upper section. As we move to the exterior, we'll talk about the crosslays in the upper and lower section. Let's start first with the upper section where you'll find backboard storage and then also two crosslays located here. Just a reminder, entanglement hazard because those lines coming from a loft and the possibility of an entanglement situation. In the lower section, pike pole storage and then also additional hose crosslays. As we move to the notch section, you'll find two 2.5-inch discharge locally controlled via the ball valve. You'll also find a warning placard here indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Large diameter pump inlet located on the left-hand side. And then also down in the lower section, a 2.5-inch auxiliary locally controlled via the ball valve. In the upper section, because we have an electronic valve, this is the override for that valve. And then to the right, warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure, along with your lever and also attachment here for foam fill or drain. As we move to the bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First, driver 1 and driver 3. Warning placard and foam draft and tank lever. In the lower section, a warning here regarding your DEF fill location, 7.3 gallons. It's just under the rear cab area. And then also driver's side auxiliary inlet. We'll start next with the pump panel, starting at the very top section. If you've engaged your pump inside the cab with the switch, this light will illuminate indicating OK to pump. We have some additional items here. First, foam tank A indicator. In the gray module, you'll find the master intake and master discharge gauge. Located between the two of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and we are utilizing these for testing purposes. In the right, you'll find a visual indicator for PCM fault and also an audible speaker. There is also a hydraulic PTO high temp indicator and also a hydraulic PTO low PSI indicator. As you move down, you'll find your discharges across this area, indicating with red placard indicating they are foam capable. You'll also find your pressure throttle governor. With inside that pressure throttle governor is a water tank level indicator. Let's move down to the next modules where you'll find the red module, which is your Husky foam system. There are instructions on its placard for its operation. Right next to it is the fire pump primer, which is a push to prime air. Moving further to the right, you'll find the Husky 3 foam system specifications and operating instructions, and also a warning label here indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. As you move down, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Right next to that is the tank to pump, and then you'll find your deluge discharge located just to the right of that. There are 4 electronic valves located within this area, primarily for the passenger side. They are located here in this space. As we move to the very far right, you'll find the passenger rear discharge. This is the 2.5 at the rear. Let's move down to the next section where we have an additional electronic control. This is for the direct tank fill. As we move down, you'll also find this placard indicating the minimum operation maintenance schedule and all of your drains that are color-coded and labeled across the very bottom section. Here's a close-up of those drains. On the vertical side, you'll find your monitor operation station for your master stream device. Moving down, additional switches and also a red push-button air horn activation switch. Moving down to the very bottom, a remote for your master stream device. And then behind the pan door, you'll find this red switch, which is protected. This is your pump override. And then also you'll find instructions here for the operation of foam fill for the vertical fill and horizontal operation. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. This placard is indicating on the left-hand side your GPM, and on the right-hand side the RPM at those individual test pressures with a governed speed of 2050. This is your battery charger. When plugged into Shoreline Power, this will become active. We have some additional shelving here. These are pull-out trays, the release located on the lower right. As we move to the over-wheel compartment, you'll find SCBA bottle storage. There is bottle storage here for 2 bottles with retaining straps. As we move to the rear axle, Alcoa wheel and Goodyear tire. Moving now to the fuel location. This is ultra low sulfur diesel. It's the silver cap. General view of the rear compartment. Additional tool storage locations or equipment storage. All compartments open now on the driver's side. Let's move to the rear where you'll find all compartments open. Let's focus on a few items within this space. First, starting with ladder storage, we have a 24-foot and 14-foot roof. Moving to the bottom section, brake, turn, and reverse light and emergency warning light. Recessed backup camera. Also warning indicator here regarding pressure hazard. Once again, caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Driver's side discharge, which is foam capable. Long-handled tool storage and a 10-foot folding ladder. Passenger side rear discharge and direct tank fill. As we move to the lower compartment, adjustable shelf in the upper section and a pull-out tray in the lower section. Release for that tray is located on the lower right side. As we move to the hose bed, you'll find 3 hose bed dividers. In the upper section, you'll find your suction hose storage location. Moving around now to the passenger side, you have some additional shelving here, in addition with Shoreline outlet located on the vertical surface. As we move to that shelving, you'll find 2 pull-out trays in the lower section and then also some pull-out and tilt downward trays in the upper section. Overwheel compartment houses 2 tool boards, one in front of the other. The release for that tool board on the front section is on the hinge side. D-handle gains you access into the rear portion where there is also an additional release for storing that tool board once it has been opened.
bottle storage with DuraSurf and also retaining straps for 3 bottles, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel. As we move to the forward section, bottle storage for 3 SCBA bottles. Would like to point out this is the exhaust location. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move to the next forward compartment, a pull-out tray in the lower section, and then also some pull-out trays in the upper section, and at the very top section, a pull-out and tilt downward tray. We're moving now to the mid section here where the crosslay is located. Same configuration and layout with the 2 upper crosslays and backboard storage, and then the 2 lower sections, crosslays and long-handled tool storage. As we move to the notch area, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access into the pan door. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Also a passenger side large diameter inlet, 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet locally controlled here at the ball valve. Also a override because the electric valve here for the 2.5, which is right next to that. And then also a warning placard here indicating pressure hazard. Once again, caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move down to the lower section, large diameter discharge, which is also an electric valve. This is the override for that large diameter discharge. Down in the lower section, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's go back to the pan door real quick. This is your intake relief valve. There are instructions for its operation in addition with a settings indicator. Close-ups here of the override, 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet passenger side, and then also your large diameter passenger side, which is also an electric valve, and then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move forward to this location back into the cab section where you'll find a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control, and a grab handle. As we move inside, once again, 2 rear-facing seats which do house SCBA packs. And then also as we look overhead, you'll find over each seated position, push on and off white or red lens lights. General view here into the rear cab section. Front axle, where you'll find your Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and visual sight gauge. As we move into the officer side space, let's start first with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information again, door lock and latch, electric window control, and grab handle. This vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, which is an airbag. This is the location of that airbag. Please do not mount anything within this airbag area. Just up from that, you'll find a glove box located in the top section. Here's the warning placard indicating for the occupant SRS system. At the floorboard, you'll find a mechanical siren foot pedal. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, some additional storage locations here, and then also we have a switch panel. Let's start with identifying items within this switch panel for the officer, which is your driver's side cab scene, your front flood, passenger side cab scene, driver's side body scene, rear scene, and passenger body scene. We do have some 12-volt access via barrel style and USB-A. I'd like to point out these red and white placards indicating spare wiring. Please do not remove until your maintenance team has had an opportunity to review. This is the option number and also termination type for that individual wire behind that panel. As we move just to the left, general view here between the driver and officer. Let's go to the exterior. All compartments open now, and then we'll go up on top of the vehicle. We'll start first, take a look at the rear portion of the apparatus where you'll find these yellow diamonds indicating the edge of the walking surface for firefighter safety. You'll also find in the cab section, this is a non-walking surface that's identified here with this warning placard. Let's take a quick look at the upper section here. We'll take a look at the dunnage space. master stream device. Hydraulic oil for your Husky 3 system, and also the ability to check that oil at that reference point. On the side, you'll find your hatch compartments, dry deck material inside, LED lighting. As we move to the top of the tank section, this is the water tank top fill access. As we move to the right, you'll find the foam tank access, and also a warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the hose bed, with the hose bed cover in the open position, and then the next set of images here are going to be of that of the cab tilted, along with all of your chassis photos within this area. No additional audio will be continued from this point on. Congratulations, Redmond, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 39307. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.